I mean, we're all well aware that RFK Jr. has suspended his campaign for the presidency and has officially endorsed Donald Trump. But what we didn't expect was a story that is somehow more bizarre and disturbing than the one he publicly admitted to Roseanne, and of course to everyone else.
And the world.
While filming a TikTok or whatever, in order to get out ahead of what was sure to be a campaign-ending moment.
That was the one with the bear.
Yeah.
The dead bear.
Everyone remembers the dead bear in Central Park story. It only broke a few weeks ago, and we had a whole video about it that you can watch. But to sum that one up as quickly as humanly possible while providing context to my statement that this story is somehow even worse, in the Central Park bear story, as told by RFK Jr. himself, he saw a bear get hit by a car, so he pulled over, loaded the corpse into his vehicle, drove to a falconry event upstate, participated for at least a few hours, drove down to Brooklyn for a steak dinner, then decided to do a cool prank by dumping the carcass in Central Park in a way that made it appear as though the bear was killed after a collision with a cyclist. And there's more to it, but
it's a story that does not fully add up for me.
Yeah,
and that was after the potential news that he had proudly eaten a dog in Korea.
That's true, and also had at some point around this time developed a brainworm, at least one, and everything is starting to make a lot more sense.
Yeah, so there's obviously a lot more to that bizarre story that we are leaving out to save some time, including him putting his hand in the dead bear's mouth to take a selfie with it and potentially contracting the brainworm from that encounter. But again, just go watch our old video. We'll link it in the description. Content warning for this next story, though. Not only is it psychotic and weird, the descriptions of violence between this man and yet another dead animal that he, just found are pretty violent, and it could be a little upsetting. So this is a great reminder that you can skip to the next story at any time using the handy chapters feature on the video.
Yeah.
Okay, so this story and what we assume are the reasons that it came to light now instead of weeks ago are also bizarre, so just brace yourself for a bunch of words you never thought you would hear. After suspending his campaign, a 2012 article published in Town & Country magazine resurfaced where RFK's daughter chronicled an event where her father found a beached whale, decapitated it with a chainsaw, attached the severed head to the family car, and drove it home, while also claiming that this is normal day-to-day stuff for us.
So, awful behavior from an awful man. And we'll get into more details, including the excerpt from the magazine. But first, my hypothesis on why this came out now instead of days or weeks ago when this guy was still attempting to run for the highest office in the land. Are you ready for more words that you never thought you'd hear stringed together? Despite getting back together 2 years ago and eventually marrying,
the greatest love story never told, folks.
Ben Affleck and Jennifer Lopez officially divorced earlier this month. But they'd been separated since at least June, maybe longer. So it's no surprise that Ben Affleck might already be dating someone new at this point.
A third Jennifer. No.
Now, okay, just keep following. I swear that this is about to get very relevant. So Ben Affleck, he's decided to start dating again. Now, nothing is official, but according to a bunch of those celebrity gossip magazines, Ben Affleck has been spending a lot of time with a new woman recently, and that woman's name is Kick Kennedy, RFK Jr.'s adult daughter.
Kick!
It's short for Kathleen. But this happens at a time when RFK is making headlines for being very strange. And I'd venture to guess that a lot of people weren't exactly aware of Kick Kennedy until this news. And then they just started looking stuff up because that's what people do when they're curious about someone. And I'm just guessing that this move was what brought this story back to light.
Yeah, people are like, oh, Ben Affleck broke up with J-Lo. Oh my gosh, wait, he's dating a Kennedy? He's dating RFK Jr.'s daughter? Her name is Kick? Let me just Google Kick Kennedy, in quotes, on Google and see what I can find out about this woman.
Yeah. It's not as if she did a ton of widely published interviews. Otherwise, I feel like this would have certainly come up sooner, but no, there was no reason for people to be looking for an article from Town & Country magazine in 2012 specifically.
So back to the story, though. The article was about a tour of the Kennedy family compound, and Kick, short for Kathleen, was guiding the journalist and telling some fun stories from her childhood as a Kennedy, and more specifically, being the daughter of RFK Jr. You know, fun stories, like the time that your dad potentially broke federal law by decapitating a beached whale with a chainsaw. So without further ado, here is the specific segment of the original article from Town & Country magazine. And, oh God, for fuck's sake, there's a goddamn slur just in the first few sentences. and the location of this whale carcass has actually had its name changed since the article was written. So
I swapped it out.
we'll just use the new name, I guess.
Yeah.
When she was 6, word got out that a dead whale had washed up on Skino Island in Hyannis Port. Bobby, who likes to study animal skulls and skeletons, ran down to the beach with a chainsaw, cut off the whale's head, and then bungee corded it to the roof of the family minivan for the 5-hour haul back to Mount Kisco, New York. Every time we accelerated on the highway, whale juice would pour onto the windows of the car, and it was the rankest thing on the planet, Kick recalls. We all had plastic bags over our heads with mouth holes cut out, and people on the highway were just giving us the finger. But that was just normal day-to-day stuff for us.
There has to be.
Someone must have taken a picture
At
of this.
some point, a picture will come out, because at this point, this story is still relatively new. It's only been a couple of days. I would imagine this is just 2012. Yeah. There was photos of the bear. There's a whole investigation.
Someone saw this and put it on Reddit. It's got to be out there somewhere.
Just saw a whale head going down the highway with a bunch of kids in the back with fucking plastic bags over their head.
I mean, and we should really highlight, like, this dead whales smell terrible. It's the reason those people up in Oregon went to such extreme lengths to do away with that whale on the beach. Dynamite it was, because it was that stinky. They had to get rid of it.
So, an animal carcass, a chainsaw, a multi-hour drive with a rotting animal head, whale juice permeating the vehicle, and also putting plastic bags over your kids' heads for safety. This story has it all, while also providing even more context behind that interview where journalist Olivia Nuzzi, at the time of reporting, described RFK Jr.'s car as a death machine.
Yeah.
Only a very small section of that interview, I have to reiterate. Rear view mirror smashed to bits, seatbelts chewed off, cushions not open, filth and dog hair covering every surface. The death machine smells so bad, I thought I might pass out after about 15 seconds riding shotgun.
This is America's royal family. It's the closest thing we have to royalty.
True, and it is bizarre that this rotting death machine smelly car has been backed up by 2 separate stories now of why it got to that point.
He drives around in the stinky mobile.
Well, because he loves skulls and skeletons.
Yeah.
And he's always on the hunt.
And you know, when you're looking for them, you'll find skulls and skeletons more than you'd think.
So imagine RFK sitting at eating breakfast or whatever, and think about, if you're our age, that Simpsons episode where Homer discovers that there's a free trampoline available. That's how RFK apparently responds to a dead whale.
Yeah.
The news, he opens up the paper, they're like, dead whale washed ashore. And he goes, dead whale! He starts running down there with a chainsaw, skins its ass raw.
Most people see a stinky inconvenience. RFK Jr. sees an opportunity.
Yeah. He drives it home, got the kids in the back looking like the rubber bandits with plastic bags over their heads.
One more skull for my skull collection.
Mm-hmm. Anyways, also, now that this story has resurfaced, an environmental group has called for an investigation from the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration because, if true, RFK might have actually violated several federal laws.
Well, it's because we got too much regulation.
I'm gonna cut all this red tape.
The libs don't want you to be able to steal a whale carcass.
I've had about enough of people making fun of me for my dead animal collection. Here's the Washington Post with more on that aspect of it.
In a letter Monday to government officials, the Center for Biological Diversity Action Fund requested that the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, NOAA, open an investigation into whether Kennedy violated the Marine Mammal Protection Act and the Endangered Species Act. It is illegal to possess any part of an animal, dead or alive, protected under either statute, the group wrote, noting that several whale species in the Atlantic Ocean are included and that continued possession of any whale skull would represent an ongoing violation of the law. Furthermore, Mr. Kennedy's apparent transport of the marine mammal skull from Massachusetts to New York, and therefore across state lines, also represented a felony violation of the Lacey Act, one of the earliest wildlife conservation laws enacted by the United States in 1900. Brett Hartle, National Political Director for the Center for Biological Diversity Action Fund, wrote in the letter, "There are good reasons why it is illegal for any person to collect or keep parts of any endangered species. Most importantly, vital research opportunities are lost when individuals scavenge a wildlife carcass and interfere with the work of scientists," the letter continued. This is particularly true of marine mammals, which are some of the most difficult wildlife species in the world to study. Indeed, some beaked whales are so difficult to observe that the only way scientists have learned about them is when dead ones wash ashore. Representatives for Kennedy and for the NOAA did not immediately respond to requests for comment Monday. Is this big government trying to stop me from making my skull collection bigger?
He's going to get rid of all that red tape when Donald Trump definitely gives him a role in the administration.
Yeah.
So obviously we have doubts as to whether anything would come as a result of such an investigation, at least legally. But the greater point is that there is seriously something wrong with this guy. I mean, this is just not normal behavior. I'm sorry. I hate to keep using the word weird, even though we've had a show with that name in the title for years. Mm-hmm. But it's strange.
Wait, so how does this timeline line up with the worm? The worm came later, so this was pre-worm. He can't blame the worm for this one.
I don't know. I feel like all of this happened in like the early 2010s.
Well, this was like 2012, it sounds like.
But around the same time.
And the bear was 2014.
Yeah.
And if we conclude that the bear did in fact give him the worm,
maybe.
Then the worm would have been later. He can't blame the worm pilot in his brain pulling the strings.
This is two that we know about. And this guy, I would venture to say there are many, many more dead animal mutilation stories that exist, but
they need to go up to the Kennedy compound with one of those ground-penetrating radar machines and just see what's going on.
I would assume that you could probably just open the door to his office, and they're probably mounted on his wall. So between the various animal carcasses, his weird diary of sexual conquest while he was married, his anti-vax, anti-science garbage, and also the fact that he has ruined our affinity for Cheryl Hines.
Yeah, and kind of tarnished the first 12 seasons of Curb.
Yeah.
Thanks.
I think it's safe to say that this guy fucking sucks. But it's not just us saying that. It's his family.
Be your own family sometimes.
When RFK dropped out and endorsed Donald Trump, of all people, the rest of the Kennedys put out yet another statement denouncing their own flesh and blood. This is alongside the previous statement that they put out in February. Here's NBC News. Multiple members of the Kennedy family denounced Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s decision to endorse former President Donald Trump, calling the move a betrayal. Quote, "We want an America filled with hope and bound together by a shared vision of a brighter future, a future defined by individual freedom, economic promise, and national pride," said a statement signed by 5 of the former independent presidential candidate's siblings. "We believe in Harris and Walz," the statement continued. "Our brother Bobby's decision to endorse Trump today is a betrayal of the values that our father and our family hold most dear. It is a sad ending to a sad story."
Why only 5 siblings? He has 11 siblings. It's a big family.
I don't know, maybe they support him.
Those Kennedys, raw dog all the time.
The Kennedy WhatsApp group must be fascinating.
Yeah, I mean, I can definitely understand why, they'd be particularly put off by this latest thing, because he's like, I'm pretty sure my dad and my uncle, if they were around today, they would be totally on the Trump train.
Okay, so I
don't know.
Here's something that I didn't put in from that Town and Country article. There's a quote from his daughter that says the worst thing, I'm going to misquote it, but it's around this, but the worst thing she could possibly ever do is become a Republican. That's a quote from the Town and Country article.
Well,
times change. But in the Kennedy family's own words.
RFK himself, a year ago, said, under no circumstances. It would be a complete betrayal of all the values I hold dear. Oh, wait, they want to,
Cheryl, run.
Correction.
Not run for president, just run.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But now let's pivot to a much lighter story about animals that was almost turned into yet another completely bizarre, totally fabricated conspiracy theory aimed at vice presidential candidate Tim Walz. Folks on the right really and truly have nothing that will stick to this guy, and the story that unfolded on Monday morning is just more proof of how desperate conservatives are getting to somehow prove that Walz is actually some sort of sinister demon, and not just a normal grandfatherly figure.
Yeah, side note, while writing this, I was inspired to modify a classic comic panel by Robert Crumb. I just couldn't get it. Every time I saw a post about Walz, this popped in my head. Normal guy. So yes, we put that on Twitter if you want to go share it or whatever, just enjoy it. But yeah, this week's scandal is wild because people on the right are now attempting to claim, I think they're trying to claim that Tim Walz is a liar because he was photographed with 2 different dogs. And I guess he insinuated that they were both the same dog or something.
Okay. If that's confusing to you, congrats. It's also confusing to me. And you now understand how desperate conservatives are to nail this guy on anything. They tried to go after him for his spicy hot dish recipe, despite saying that he doesn't like spice. Checkmate, sir. There is garlic powder and chili powder in this hot dish.
White people telling on themselves.
But
Chili powder. Oh!
yeah.
Also, they couldn't get him on his son loving him.
Yeah. Yeah.
So now they're trying to get him on this.
Really got to nail this guy on anything. And best of all, it's a completely hallucinated scenario that was turned into a conspiracy for literally no reason at all. So Tim Walz was at a dog park with his dog. And if you've been to a dog park, you might notice there are often many other dogs there.
Yeah.
So shockingly, scandalously, he was photographed with those other dogs, in addition to his own dog, while referring to his dog while another dog was in the shot.
Yeah.
Confused? Again? Yeah. It's dumb as shit.
Yeah.
But here's where all of this started. A GOP strategist named Dustin Grage posted 2 separate tweets from Walz that reference his dog Scout. In one, he's posing with Scout. And in the other, that he posted about a nice day at the dog park with Scout, there's a different dog in the photo. That is not the Scout that we know. Grage posted these with the following caption. Yes, this is Tim Walz tweeting about his dog Scout. Only problem is these are 2 completely different dogs.
Oh!
What else is Tim
Elliot,
Walz lying
pull out the
about?
fainting couch. I need it now. Honestly, anyone with even the most basic critical thinking skills could or just that owned a dog ever in their life, could understand what was going on. And that it's probably not likely that Tim Walz is just constantly cycling through dogs for some reason.
Yeah, no, you're thinking of Joe Biden.
But even in this case, he would be naming the dog the same name over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And for some reason trying to pass it off as the same dog publicly.
These Republicans were all about this shit when it was Argentinian President Javier Milei just cloning the same dog over and over
Now
again.
it's weird, I guess.
Yeah.
Even Charlie Kirk's big ass head chimed in. Of course, he then deleted the tweet. He endorsed the fake conspiracy and he added, Tim Walz is an all-time legendary liar. Obviously, again, since been deleted, but not before a bunch of his totally weird and psychotic followers saw that and took it at face value and never looked at the retraction or anything and just are probably telling that story right now.
Like, can you imagine explaining this to like a normal person?
Well,
Just
no,
an everyday person, just being
so
like,
even
Tim Walz is a liar. He lied. He has multiple dogs named Scout.
What?
Yeah.
Wait, he has 2 dogs named Scout?
The MSM doesn't want you to know.
Okay, and both of them are named Scout.
It would appear, yes.
So what was the lie about?
Well, he said he was at the park with his dog Scout, and he showed a picture of him with what we presume was Scout, but then there's another picture, and he's with another dog. And it's not the Scout from the first picture.
Okay, I guess I'll vote for Donald Trump.
Legendary liar
I guess I'm going to vote for Donald Trump now.
who has never told a lie.
Yeah, exactly. I
That's
want
why
an
they
honest
call him
politician.
Honest Donald. Honest Donald.
Honest Don. But anyways, to add a cherry on top of all of this, there are not only additional photos from that trip to the dog park that also show his dog Scout there with him, there are videos of Walz, Scout, and the other dog, as well as that dog's owner. Despite the video evidence, people were still claiming that this was some sort of gotcha because Walz, oh my God, he deleted the tweet with the different dog in it. Why would he do that? Oh, maybe because it's annoying to have a bunch of psychos screaming about something that never happened and pushing it as if it's a huge news story and only linking to that one tweet.
Yeah.
Maybe if any of these assholes actually enjoyed spending time with their dogs or had ever gone to a dog park for leisure activities, they wouldn't be so quick with the accusations. Just kidding, nothing matters. They're gonna hit this guy with everything throughout the election, and they're just gonna hope that anything sticks. Remember they were really trying to say that this guy was drinking horse semen all the time.
Yeah, they tried that in addition, like in response to the JD Vance couch thing, and it did not take off because first of all, it's like way grosser, and also the JD Vance thing had like layers to it where it's like he
was on
actually
these pages.
published this in the book, and yeah.
I'm just gonna say it. It seems plausible.
Yeah.
It seems more plausible that he fucked a couch than Tim Walz drank a cup of.
You
horse
look at like the way JD Vance acts in a donut shop. You look at the way his hair has been just chopped.
Yeah.
You think, yeah, If anyone's fucking a couch, that guy's probably near the top of the list.
Anyways, enough of the fake news. Who's ready for a real story that seems like it's straight out of science fiction?
Oh, I like science fiction.
Well, this isn't science fiction, it's science fact.
Oh, that's less fun.
Well, currently there are two United
Two
States...
astronauts.
No one's gonna get the reference. We have to explain it every time.
2 glasses of milk, please.
2 glasses of milk, please. 2 glasses of milk, please.
We don't have milk, sir.
Oh, just
Just have water, juices.
All right, Diet Coke?
Yeah, we have Diet Coke.
I'll do one of those.
Just one of those.
Yeah.
It's $4.
Forget it.
I should have never sent you that reel. There are two United States astronauts that are stuck in space, and they won't be able to return until sometime in the year 2025.
It was supposed to be a 3-hour tour.
A simple 3-hour tour. Okay, so it's not like they're just floating off into the blackness of space. They're actually on board the International Space Station. Yes, there is a space station up there, and there's people up there all the time, and they stay there for a very, very long time, doing experiments and all kinds of stuff.
Just floating around.
And despite sounding like some far-off time frame, 2025, just a few short months away.
No, that's not possible.
And astronauts are trained to survive in space for extremely long lengths of time. It's their whole thing. But there's obviously a bigger story here than just two astronauts extending their trip on the ISS, because the whole reason they're up there is because they flew Boeing. That's not a joke. They're stuck because of a propulsion malfunction with the Boeing Starliner spacecraft, which it's not exactly funny, but it does line up pretty well with all of the other horrific events that Boeing has been responsible for in recent years, as they've apparently sacrificed safety and reliability for short-term profits.
Yeah, it's definitely represents a larger pattern.
Yeah, not funny, just curious, I guess.
But yeah, stuck in space is a bit much. I mean, it sucks that they are up there longer than they're supposed to be, but this isn't exactly an emergency situation. They got plenty of food. It's fine.
They're up there right now learning how to grow potatoes out of their own excrement.
Yeah, it's fun. So apparently the spacecraft is assumed to be capable of bringing the astronauts, Suni Williams and Butch Wilmore, great astronaut name,
Great.
back to Earth, but NASA has decided that it's too risky to attempt, so they're fine. They're with other people on board the ISS for a few months, and they will be rescued by SpaceX when they send their Dragon spacecraft to the ISS next February. The other option on the table was sending a SpaceX rocket on a separate unscheduled mission just to bring home the astronauts, or to have them return on the Starliner if for some reason there was another emergency scenario, but
Yeah, it's the safest option.
Yeah, they're just like, Boeing, it's fine.
We'll take it from here.
You've helped enough, I think. So yeah, SpaceX will apparently be sending up a smaller crew on a mission that was already planned, so the two stranded astronauts can hitch a ride back safely. 2 birds, 1 stone. As for the 2 astronauts themselves, again, they've trained for this. It is their job. They actually seem to be totally fine with all that extra time in space.
Yeah.
Although I'm curious now,
There was time now.
how do they vote? Are they going to send, if you're, I mean, I'm assuming the ones that go up there like ahead of time, they
Maybe
have
this
some
is
way.
why Elon wouldn't do a rushed mission.
Yeah, they're probably Democrats. That's 2 Democrat votes.
I don't think that happened, but I would not put it past him. We just don't have. I know that, so separately, there was, and this is as pointed out, a good reason why having, a government space program like NASA in control of all of this would make sense, because the initial reason why they apparently couldn't ride back on SpaceX immediately was because the spacesuits between Boeing and SpaceX
They're not
are
compatible,
different.
Yeah.
That sucks, first of all. It should be probably a universal standard because of situations like this. But in my mind, it's like an astronaut, every fucking measurement of their body and every anticipated drop in weight or gain of weight or anything is calculated to such a small level that it would be absolutely no problem at all for SpaceX to just be like, oh yeah, we can make suits. Which is, I'm assuming, what they're doing. But anyways, they can't vote, I guess. We'll figure it out.
Yep.
Here's the New York Times.
Butch and I have been up here before, and it feels like coming home, Ms. Williams, who has had 2 previous long stays on the space station, said during a news conference last month. It's great to be up here, so I'm not complaining. And the reporting continues. I think reporters use imprecise language to get viewers, said Lori Garver, who served as the deputy administrator of NASA during the Obama administration. We're all used to that. I don't think it's worth being defensive about, but they're also not really stranded. For one, though NASA and Boeing did say Starliner would spend at least 8 days at the space station, officials point out this is a test flight designed to uncover problems. Thus, they say, it is not a surprise that not everything has gone perfectly.
Hey.
I think it's probably still a little bit of a surprise.
Hey, job well done, Boeing.
Yeah, you want to like work out any kinks. This seems like a little bit bigger than like some kinks.
Even when this was initially, it was scrubbed from launch multiple times before it eventually went up, and everyone was kind of like,
"Is this cursed?"
Hey, I think the fact that they actually docked with the space station, like Boeing was probably, phew, because that would have. It had to have been curtains if they lost 2 fucking U.S. astronauts after all the plane shit. There's no way. So they were probably breathing. This is technically everything going as best as humanly possible.
Yeah, I was hanging out with an old buddy of mine who's like he works for one of the big aerospace contractors, not Boeing. But I hung out with him the other night and I asked him, "What the fuck is going on?" And he's like, "I probably shouldn't be talking about this, but yeah." Yeah, it's a shit show. What do you do?
Hey, good to know.
But he did explain something interesting that I hadn't thought of, which was, over the past like 80 years, like it used to be, you had all these different contractors who all, their purview sort of overlapped quite a bit. But then as the decades went on, they're like, okay, you're going to be making bombers, you're going to be making fighters, you're going to be making commercial airliners. And so basically they siloed all these different companies into very specific roles so that like now, when one of those companies ends up doing a fucking terrible job, it's like a huge problem.
You've intentionally shrunken the knowledge base on your quest for maximum profitability.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyways, I guess it's as happy of an ending as you could get, all things considered. I mean,
sounds like they're having a great time up there in space.
I finally have time for my experiments.
My only regret is that I couldn't vote for Joe Biden for president. He's still running, right?
Yeah,
I haven't been following the news for the month and a half I've been up here.
Also, randomly, another space thing, and it's just because it was who he was speaking in front of, but today, Trump was speaking in front of the National Guard, and he was like, and when I'm back in office, we're going to make a space National Guard. Sure, why not?
Okay.
Yeah. So anyways, sort of a happy ending for them. Wait till February to see if they do make it back, but let's really lock down a happy ending for this episode, or at least some news that might lead to an eventual...
I don't know if I'd call this a happy ending.
It's not a happy ending yet, but I'm just saying that it's sort of, someone is going to get justice, hopefully.
Yeah.
For the victim. This is not a happy ending, but better than what was happening.
Uh-huh.
So, temporary expectations, but Nicholas Rossi, a.k.a. Nicholas Aliverian.
Who?
A.k.a. British aristocrat Arthur Knight.
Oh, I love British aristocrat Arthur Knight.
He actually is not. He's no longer overseas. He is back in the U.S. and has appeared at a Salt Lake City courthouse.
But he's a lifelong resident of the United Kingdom.
How did they extradite him?
What business could he possibly have in the state of Utah?
Well, Elliot, he's actually an American who did a very, very, very horrific crime.
No, that's not possible.
Yes, it is possible.
Listen to him talk with that impeccable English accent.
Funny you should mention that, because the second that he appeared in court, he dropped that accent. His lawyer was like, "Oh yes, Nicholas Rossi here. Ah, you got me."
I wonder if his wife back in England is as shocked by this news as all of us are.
Based on the accusations against him that he almost certainly committed, I would say she's probably relieved.
I would hope so, but she seemed she seemed to fully believe the Arthur Knight story.
Well, maybe she can move to Mormon country. Anyways, he will be standing trial for his honestly horrific crimes.
Yeah,
this is not
a
funny.
bad dude. They're like really fucked up sex crimes and like repeatedly.
Yes.
Like not even an isolated thing. The man had a pattern of...
He had a goofy disguise, but this guy's a monster.
Yeah.
Yes, he did finally drop his fake British accent and the Arthur Knight persona.
Well, R.I.P. Arthur Knight.
Here's CBS News with more, and again, it's great that he's finally being brought to justice, but the charges are vile. So prepare yourself for that. A man accused of faking his own death and fleeing the U.S. to avoid rape charges will stand trial, a judge in Utah ruled Thursday. District Judge Barry Lawrence ruled during Nicholas Rossi's preliminary hearing that prosecutors had presented enough evidence to warrant a jury trial, CBS affiliate KUTV reported. Rossi was scheduled back in court for an arraignment and bail hearing on October 17th, the station reported.
Rossi, whose legal name is Nicholas Alaverdian, has used several aliases and has said he was an Irish orphan named Arthur Knight who had never set foot on American soil and was being framed. The American fugitive grew up in foster homes in Rhode Island and had returned to the state before allegedly faking his death and fleeing the country. An obituary published online claimed Rossi died on February 29, 2020 of late-stage non-Hodgkin lymphoma.
If he had waited like 2 months or a month, he could have claimed it was COVID.
Yeah, that would have been more believable.
It probably wouldn't have been caught. It was chaos back then.
Yeah. Authorities and his former foster family doubted his death. Rossi was arrested in Scotland in 2021 after being recognized at a Glasgow hospital during treatment for COVID-19. He lost an extradition appeal in the country in December. Since his arrest in Scotland, he's done a series of bizarre TV interviews insisting he's an innocent Irishman. In a viral interview done by Scottish network STV News in 2023, he called the suggestion that he was an American wanted on rape charges a vicious lie. In another interview with Dateline, Rossi sat next to his wife and insisted he was a victim of mistaken identity. "We were once a normal family, but thanks to the media, our lives have been interrupted," he said, gasping into an oxygen mask. "And we'd like privacy, and I would like to go back to being a normal husband, but I can't because I can't breathe, I can't walk." And then he started crying,
Yeah.
and his wife was like, "Look what you did.
Are you happy
Look
now?
what you did."
So yeah, I hope he goes away for a very long time, and we are thrilled that it appears that his victims will at least finally get some justice and closure. So that's good. Hopefully. We'll see.
Yeah.
A jury in Salt Lake City?
Yeah.
Better than Provo,
True.
but not great.
Yeah.
Speaking of, yeah, I don't know if it's still accurate, but like Utah, as far as crime goes, not a lot of like property and crazy crime like that. A lot of domestic abuse and stuff like that.
Yes, it is a cultural thing among some of the people in that state. Not all of them, but there is a lot of fringe elements to not the LDS church per se, but the LDS movement that gets pretty fucking horrifying the more fringe you get with it.
Yeah. Anyways, that's it for our video today. We will be back with some tech news, including what I assume is this has been happening and there's not a lot of info about exactly what's going on, but the CEO of Telegram has been arrested after getting off of a plane in Paris, and there's a lot of speculation as to why exactly, but he's being processed and all of that, so we'll have more on Tech News Day. In the meantime, don't use Telegram. If you thought it was encrypted, it's not. You have to actually do that yourself. And a lot of it's basically a social media app with an option for end-to-end encryption, and a lot of people don't do that, and it's how a lot of January 6 rioters got caught because they were planning on there. Anyways, more on that for Tech News Day, but in the meantime, we got plenty more for you to watch. We got Weekly Weird, we got News Dump, but make sure you like the video. I keep forgetting. Sorry.
Like the video.
Like the video.
Like the video, or Trumpy Trout will visit you in your sleep.
He's gonna sing you a naughty song. Like the video, click the join button. No sponsor today. We would appreciate it if you became a member of the channel. Helps us out very much. If you're not subscribed, do so. And now, watch the other videos. See you
Bye-bye.
soon. Bye.